Hey everybody, what is going on? It's your boy izlogic.business. We're not going to delay anything. Welcome to the second week of the LEC's Anarchy analysis. Today we're going to be breaking down the match of the week, Origin versus G2. Without saying any more, let's get straight into picks and bans, where we're going to be breaking down every single thing that's picked up and banned before we jump into an actual Teamfight analysis and maybe a bit of full game analysis, who knows. Anyway, that's going to be it. Let's jump straight into the game. Okay, so let's get straight into the bans with G2's first three bans. Now G2 start off with bans towards Gragas, Jarvan and Qiyana. Three jungle picks here, as well as a mid flex in Qiyana. And from the PGL from today, where they interviewed Yankos about this game, apparently Wunder just cannot deal with Gragas in this current patch and meta, and it's really strong. It's a good CC and disengaged champion that's just absolutely insane. As for Origin, they did go for three more mid lane slash flex picks here. They go for the Akali, which is really OP. It can be flexed either mid or top. More priority is towards the mid side. Akali is super duper strong though, OP in this patch, and won't be seeing much play this season, but will be probably 100% banned every game. Next ban for them was the Syndra. This is a very big pick here that was flexible into either mid or bot. Obviously with G2, when you have two mid laners on your team who've both played mid, who's role switched again, if you haven't seen, Caps is now in the bot lane and Perks is in mid, and Syndra is so good. She's one of them premier champions for G2 last year when they were flexing down bot mages, and yeah, it's really good. And for their last ban, it was an Elise. Elise is one of those superstar pickups for Yankos. One of his mains probably has a great early game and is hard to actually control, and it usually means that Origin were looking to pick something a bit more mid to late games to stop the snowball effect over G2. But anyway, that is the first set of bans here. Let's jump into picks. Right, so getting into the first picks for each team. G2 pick up Senna, who's probably the most high priority pickup any team's going for this season. She's got amazing late game scalability. She does a lot of damage. Great pickup. As for Origin, they go for the Zyro and Rakan combo, which is a great team up in the bot lane. Kind of is a good pick into a Senna, since they both have high scalability. Rakan is a great playmaker, and it's also fairly safe with Zyro with her ultimate getting her away from the fight, and it's really strong. As for G2, their second pickup is Lee Sin and LeBlanc, both excellent diving champions. Lee Sin obviously is the champ that will set up plays by kicking the opponents into his team. Obviously he'll be looking for the Xayah in the team fights predominantly just to kick her in or just after she ults, and basically giving her no chance to escape. As for their last pickup of the first phase, they choose LeBlanc, which is an excellent burst damage mage. It has high ability to just dive into the backline, burst out champions, and just be an absolute monster for people to deal with. And for their last pickup in this first round, Origin pick up the Rek'Sai, who's a good early game jungler. Considering the champions that are left for the jungle, it's probably one of the better picks. High amount of burst towards late game with that execute ult, and can essentially get into the backline the same way Lee Sin can by just going through tunnels and unburrowing under the opponents. But that's the first pick phase. Let's get into the bans. So, moving on to the last sets of bans here. G2 decide to ban out two control mages here. Both Lysandra and Ryze, high CC champions, able to lock down the dive of G2 here with the Lee Sin and LeBlanc they have. Very good bans out here by G2. As for Origin, they decide to take out Morgana and Aatrox. Morg is a very good dive accomplice. Basically, she just black shields the person who's going to go into the backline so that they're not instantly burst out by spells. Very good champion to have in a dive comp, but obviously he is removed from this game. And the Aatrox is another good champion here. High amount of burst damage as well. Can front to back team fight while the rest of his team's just diving into the backline. It has high sustainability and is very, very powerful in terms of attack damage. Plus, it kind of is a semi-counter to who they actually wanted to pick for themselves in the top lane. But yeah, the second round of bans. Let's jump into the final last picks. And finally we go to the last 4 picks of the game. Starting off with Sylas, which is an overall strong champion, but I don't feel it's good in this scenario at all. You've got 2 diving champions on G2 side in the LeBlanc and Lee Sin. You don't have very good ults bar Senna ult currently. Like, LeBlanc ult's kind of pointless. Lee Sin ult's just gonna set up a play for Rakan maybe, or the Rek'Sai. But you don't have many good plays here. I guess you're hoping that G2 will pick a Soraka here, so you have that global ult in counteraction to the Soraka ult to kind of give your team a bit more health where needed, but it's not a good pick in my opinion to it. But G2 obviously do follow up with that Soraka pick. It's been a predominant pick up here for Wonder this recent patch on 10.2. It's got high sustainability. Obviously, if you land a Q, you get a lot of health back. You've obviously got your own heal to your teammates, which is good to with the Q conjunction. Obviously, you lose health when you heal others, and using your Q gets you more health back. And you also have that global heal, which is even better. And obviously is a very strong champion. As for the last pickup for G2, they go for the Thresh. Strong playmaker. It ties very well into the team. It gives Senna a bit more mobility with the lanterns, allowing her to reposition. It also allows her to get into fights close distance. It allows a lot more playability. As for Origin's last pick, they go for a very high dot damage champion that's very bulky and is very, very strong on the current patch in the Rumble. Obviously, fantastic amount of damage that can be produced from this champion. Can kind of help with dealing with the Senna, obviously with the low mobility. It kind of can just place that on top of her and she kind of has to flash in order to escape the damage or be obviously moved away with the Thresh or a Tom Kench, which is another champion I'd expected G2 to pick up. But yeah, that's going to be it for these picks. Let's jump into the game. So G2 were actually really close to throwing this game, as around the Baron pit, they were trying to secure an easy Baron with a 3-man unit obviously attacking the Baron pit, and essentially LeBlanc oversteps with no escape tools as Thresh wastes his lantern around the pit, and essentially what happens is LeBlanc gets instantly locked up by the 3 members of OG that are around the red buff, and she gets immediately burst. Now, obviously, Thresh is next in line to be killed as he's kind of in the death area where the members of OG are. So he's having to basically run back to the 3 members of G2 who were slow taking Baron, because Senna is obviously a very slow Baron taker. And this is the part where G2 think they can win this fight, as Sylas is already off the board and it's a 4v4. But G2 aren't full health, obviously, with them trying to take Baron, and OG try to fight with them, and they edge this out with the Rakan W narrowly hitting the Lee Sin, putting him up in the air, and essentially is free to be killed, no escape, and that is G2's jungler off the board, so they can't actually contest Baron anymore. Because of this, G2 immediately hit full retreat and end up in the river by the top lane brush. Now, the issue with this is they all group up, and Rumble ult has literally just come up, so the equalizer is immediately dropped on them, and they start burning up. Because of this, the Thresh is taken out, and the last two members of G2 are corralled into top side and are collapsed on by the respawn Silas TP, and basically is just killed there. Luckily Soraka escapes, while OG do manage to take the Baron. Now, why did G2 in the end win this game after throwing up Baron? Well, G2 had quite a large amount of control in this game, as they kind of were able to play the map a lot more better than OG. They also had that ability just to kill the backline, with Perks obviously making his threat known every single play, because he was just showing here and there through the fog of war, kind of getting into the players of OG's heads, thinking, hey, Perks is here, we might have to be careful. And that is the sort of thing that you need to be worried about, because he's playing a champion that can just immediately burst you out. Now, obviously, G2 also had dragons, and they were playing for that Dragon Soul, which they eventually got and were able to push out the game, because they were able to find lanes, able to just push them up, get to the turrets, and they had a better 5v5 teamfight comp. And OG just had to sit there and deal with the fact that G2 were just going to immediately kill them off and burst them out. But anyway, that was this game's Anarchy analysis. My next one is going to be Team Liquid versus Dignitas, which was an insane game, and I'm more likely to do the entire game review for that one than the obvious this one where we only looked at one team fight in particular. And I'm really looking forward to doing that, because it's the second game of DLCS this week. I watched it and was like, yep, that's what I'm doing this on, because while I've been making this video and editing it together, I kind of had to get some footage for this and download it, obviously, and I was watching that and it was just insanely good to watch. But anyway, enough about that. Let's end this episode right here. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.